Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the day it is for you. This is The Den, episode number 3, our post game coverage of the Hall of Fame game. I am Steve, aka Bronx, and I'm joined by
Matt, aka Nemo. We're back. We are back. Episode 3, post Hall of Fame game. Ended a bit early, unexpected, but lot to go through. A lot to be excited about, though, too.
Yes. But before we get started into our post game coverage, we want breaking news. The Bears have re signed or extended DJ Moore to a 4-year, $110 million contract with $82 million of that guaranteed, making him the seventh highest paid wide receiver in the NFL.
And
What's your
first player in
thoughts?
NFL history, first player in NFL history to have the first 10 years of his NFL career fully guaranteed. This actually locks him up for 6 more years because this is an extension on
Mhm.
his contract that still has 2 more years. So
Yep.
thoughts are great, man. Great
Uh,
extension. And honestly, I think I was telling you the other day when we first heard about this was that it's a lot of money, but for how good and how much potential he has, only being the seventh highest paid is honestly good news for us. We definitely caught him at a little bit of a steal, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Because in 2 more years, I can only imagine what that wide receiver contract is going to look like, and when it's obviously going to reach higher and higher levels as the salary cap expands and so forth with all the TV deals and stuff going on. But what I just sort of wanted to touch on is that basically locks in our core. We've sort of built a core. Ryan Poles has built a core of players that he has. Either drafted or re-signed or picked up. But we have a DJ Moore for 6 years. We have Caleb Williams, who we just drafted for 5. Roma Dunze for 5. Darnell Wright for 4. Jalen Johnson for 4. Montez Sweat for 4. Cole Kmet for 4. Tremaine Edmonds for 3. DeAndre Swift for 3. And TJ Edwards for 2. To me, that's an incredible amount of that. That's literally a core
Yeah.
that's going to last for the next, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 years. um, but one of the most intriguing things I heard was in the press conference for him re-signing was he didn't want to be the highest paid player. Like he didn't want to be the highest paid wide receiver, and to me, that sort of says he wants to win. Yes, he's getting paid the seventh highest, but it wasn't as important to him to be the highest paid wide receiver. And to me, that says a lot about his character and apparently what he thinks of this city and what he thinks of Caleb Williams moving forward. A great question asked in that press conference was, did it matter to you who was throwing you the ball? And he said, yeah. So obviously he has seen enough from Caleb to not wait for his contract to expire and then re-sign. He's doing it now.
Yeah, I agree. This locks up a great core for a long time for us. And they did an interview during the game with Ryan Poles, and they specifically asked him, how I felt about Caleb Williams coming into the situation, kind of all the pressure, and how he's going to handle being in a big city like Chicago. And he straight up said, they all love him. They think he's a great talent. He said specifically that Bajet and Rippon are just great influences, just trying to help Caleb at every turn they can, and that everyone's really excited for him to be here. And I'm sure DJ Moore feels the same way, especially if that's coming from such a guy such high up on the chart as Ryan Poles. That everyone seems to be pretty happy with the fit for Caleb Williams.
100%. Love to see it. Love DJ's attitude. I'm excited to see his personality is going to be able to show in that Hard Knocks. It's going to be should be pretty
Oh,
interesting to watch.
100%. Did you see the clip where where they were all introducing themselves? They released a clip, and he was like Caleb Williams, Oklahoma to USC, and he's like, "I'm not signing
USC.
boats this 25-5," and
Mhm.
everyone went fucking insane.
And
I
then
thought that was so
Tyson
funny.
Bagent
Yeah, he
was
was
like
tweaking. He was tweaking.
in
Yeah, I
his
just
chair.
saw
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, moving on in other news,
Yeah,
real quick, former Chicago Bear Tariq Cohen informed the Jets today that he's going to retire.
he
Sad to
will
see because
retire.
that kid, that
He
kid
had a
has
lot of potential, man. Just got hit with some
potential.
unfortunate injuries.
Yep, knee, and then as he's rehabbing, he tears his Achilles, and it was live. He was doing a live like Instagram when he tore his Achilles. He was showing his workout or whatever, and he tore his
Yeah,
Achilles. And that's just tough to see. Injury news, injury bugs already sort of started around the NFL. Justin Herbert's going to be in a boot for 2 weeks with plantar fasciitis, and DeAndre Hopkins, who we'll see in Week 1,
yeah, week
has a
one.
knee injury. So they're hoping he's back by then, but he might not be back against the Bears, which will hurt that Titans team because he is
Tremendously, he's there at WR1, man.
100%. Moving on to our next segment of the show, it's our immediate reactions to this game tonight. The Bears win. What was the final scores?
21-17.
21-17. The weather unfortunately became a
Yeah,
factor, and
took
they
us
ended the
out.
game midway through the third quarter. Some of my immediate things I noticed were, man, that kickoff looks really awkward.
It's so weird, man. Like you kick it and then like everyone's just frozen on the field.
You
You
can't,
know, it's
you can't move until the ball's
yeah.
caught.
It's such a weird Joe Buck and Troy Aikman did like a little segment on it right before the game started, and it was still hard to understand. There's like 11 players on the kicking side in the middle zone, and there could only be 9 players from the receiving side in that zone. And if the ball's kicked straight into the end zone, it goes out a different distance than if the ball bounces in the action zone. I don't know. It's very interesting
Yeah,
to me.
there's they,
It's
they
kind of
they
like
had like a little they had a little green zone, so it's before the goal line up to the 20. If the ball hits there, it's live. The ball's still live in the end zone unless it's downed by a player. But if it's kicks and it lands in the end zone or it's caught in the end zone, the player can take a knee and the ball's moved out to the 30. So
it was such a weird like it's not broke, why fix it moment from the NFL. I don't know why they did it. It's just weird to me. Looked awkward.
um,
Didn't enjoy. I
look,
don't enjoy it personally. I didn't like it.
for me, moving forward, I think it's going to be good for the game. It's going to give I said, there's more of an opportunity now for other players to score, right? Because so they put up the stat: 22% of kicks last year were returned. So it's like, why even have a kickoff if nobody's even trying to return it? Also, in that rule is they have to announce that they're doing an onside kick,
I
and
saw that. Yeah,
only the. I mean, it makes
only
sense,
the losing team, right? And there's one
right?
other
If you're
new
losing,
rule about it. I think they can only onside kick like at the end of a quarter or something, or what? There was one
yeah,
more
they
rule,
can't
something about the time.
they can't do it in the first half, or it's only in the
Mm,
fourth quarter. One of the two. They
or
can't do
something
it in
like
the
that.
first half, or it's only in the fourth quarter.
Damn.
Um,
Rip Pat
and
McAfee highlights.
well, it's funny because they mentioned him on the broadcast that this would be perfect for him because he could place the ball wherever he wanted, and
Yeah.
it would be perfect. Um, so, who stood out to you in today's game?
Honestly, I was really surprised by how Rippon played. I thought, honestly, he threw really well, especially in the second quarter. I thought he was throwing a lot of great passes. One or two of them dropped, but not really on him. Good targets. Um, Colin Johnson also had 2 touchdown catches. Uh, a decent amount of. I think he only had 3 total catches actually, and 2 of them were touchdowns. Let me look real quick. Yeah, he had
Yeah,
3 receptions and 2 of them were touchdowns. So I thought he
he's-
played exceptionally well. Actually, and I thought Rippon actually played really well. I was actually expecting Bajit to get a little bit more time on the field, but obviously, if they're expecting him to be their true QB2, maybe don't want to throw him
mm,
out there too long. But really, I did think Rippon played well. I also thought Khalil Herbert, we were talking about, I'm surprised he played as well. Also
I'm
did
very
exceptionally
shocked he
well.
played.
2 back-to-back great runs. I think one for 21 yards, the next one for like 11. He just kind of looked like a bull out there, man. He was just kind of running through the defense on
Yeah,
the few touches that he had, but really surprised by Rippon and Khalil Herbert especially. I thought he played really well.
yeah. Colin Johnson bounced back because he had a throw where Rippon just threw an
Yeah, and
absolute
it just like
dot.
bounced right off of his hands. That's what I was talking
Hit
about.
him
Yeah,
right in the chest, and then he comes
yeah,
back and scores a touchdown. There was a couple plays where Rippon sort of just threw it up, back shoulder. Both times, Colin Johnson's got up there. Now he is huge. I think he's 6'6".
Yeah.
So he got up there, high pointed the ball, and brought it down in the first one. The second one, they reviewed and overturned the catch. But still, to be able to show that sort of promise, he's definitely opening up eyes, and that's probably the hardest. Right? We said wide receiver is going to be pretty hard to catch on to the team, but that's one way to do it is to just show out and show that you can high point the ball, make
100%.
the catches in the end zone when you need to. But yeah, Colin Johnson was definitely a standout today, and vice versa. Now, who disappointed you today?
I know you have it on here and you said it. Honestly, I wasn't didn't think anyone play. That first quarter was for the Bears at least was kind of lackluster. I wouldn't say that was on
Mhm.
anybody. You have it on there. I didn't think too many people played that well, but I would agree. Like what you said, we're saying earlier that Dante Pettis, like we said in a former podcast, kind of a journeyman on the Bears for the last few years. I know he was injured, whatever, trying to get back to where he hopes to be, and he had that muffed punt today. He had one reception for 11 yards on 2 targets. I mean, I think he definitely had more to show than he did out there. I
Yeah,
would agree with your thoughts there.
yeah, you're talking about an NFL vet who
Yeah.
is in a wide receiver room that's stacked, and then you have a guy like Colin Johnson showing out. And I don't know if the elements played into it because it was raining like crazy when
Yeah,
he
when he
muffed
dropped
that
that
punt, and
punt,
it
it
just
was.
started to pour. But I don't know. Like you're an NFL vet, secure it.
Yeah.
Especially if he's trying to. Now I'm pretty sure Velus Jones Jr. is going to be the one to return punts,
Mhm.
but um, Dante Pettis, if he's trying to make the team special teams wise or be an option in offense, he did not show anything for me
Yeah.
today.
I think he
Uh,
was I'm pretty sure he was the only okay. Yeah, no, I think he was the only receiver besides Colin Johnson that dropped a pass. Now,
hmm,
granted, Johnson got 6 targets, but yeah, everyone else was perfect on the day except for Dante Pettis.
yep,
Which 1 for 2, not like we're gonna sit here and beat on him for that, but like definitely expected more out of him. Coming back. Obviously, he was only targeted twice, so maybe that's not totally on him, but especially
mhm,
with the punt, bro, that's like his only job is to catch the
yeah,
ball, and he dropped it.
catch the ball. Yep.
Yeah,
How did our players to watch do today? I know,
you could start
unfortunately,
considering
yours.
you're the only one that Ian Wheeler did not play, guys.
He did
Did
not play.
not play.
I'm pretty sure he was going to come in and basically take over the fourth quarter. I didn't even know Felton was on the squad. To be honest with you, when we sort of went over these, Felton got some carries in the third quarter that I thought could have gone Wheeler's way. I think he was. They said he was added this week to the roster, so
3 touches.
I don't know. Yeah, so he took some of Wheeler's carries, I think. But yeah, Austin Reed, he had just started to take over midway through the third quarter when they called it, but went 2 for 2 with 10 yards. I
Yeah,
mean, threw the ball twice.
yeah.
One of them
So
was like one of
honestly,
them was
both of our
really
guys
bad.
turned out to be duds here.
Yeah, I think with more
Unfortunately.
time in the fourth quarter, we
Yeah, I
just
think losing, the last 4 minutes of the third plus a whole quarter
yeah,
definitely, we're looking at 2 to 3 drives minimum
yeah,
that we missed out on.
yep.
On to our third segment here today. We talked about the Hall of Fame game, and we're gonna get to more like in-depth game stats later. But right now, we want to talk about specifically the 3 Chicago Bears we have going into the Hall this weekend or this year. Was it tomorrow?
It's Saturday.
So yeah, this weekend.
Yeah, they go in Saturday. The first one uh, is the very first NFL jersey I ever bought for myself. That wasn't bought for me or handed down, but Devin Hester, a three-time All-Pro, four-time Pro Bowler. He's part of the NFL Top 100 all-time team, and he's also NFL All-Decade team for the 2010s. Uh,
Possibly the only. We know we talked about this. Possibly the only. If these rules stay, definitely the only return man that I believe will ever be in the Hall. Like we said before, unless you count what's his face Dion. But moving on. Um,
I don't know. Did Brian Mitchell make it to the Hall of Fame? Because he had the record before Hester, as far as punt return
let's
or
look
not
it
punt
up.
return. It is or just special teams returns. He
He
had
is
13.
not. He is one Pro Bowl, one All Pro, and one-time Super Bowl champ. He is not in the Hall of Fame.
Hmm. So maybe he's thought of in the next few years now that they let Hester in, but I don't know. Anyways,
Maybe.
one of the more dominant rookie seasons. I mean, he scored 5 touchdowns his rookie season. Three of them punt returns, 2 kick returns. He took the opening kickoff of the Super Bowl uh, to the house.
Yeah.
Never been done
Unfortunately,
before.
I was a little under 1 year old when that happened. So
Yeah, I was on a bus ride coming home from a baseball trip in college, watching it on the little TV that they had in the corner of the bus.
yeah, were you
Uh,
freaking out?
oh, when he took it back, absolutely.
Uh, I
Um,
hear it was downhill from there. No more need to talk about that
yeah,
Super
we don't need
Bowl.
to talk about it. He he
Peyton.
also has he also has a 108-yard missed field goal return. Um, that's insane.
Yeah,
Against the
very
Giants.
insane.
Um, but his NFL records, he has a numerous amount of records. He has basically all the special teams Bears records. I didn't think we needed to go over that. I just wanted to sort of highlight his NFL records. He has the most career punt return touchdowns with 14. All returns that includes any sort of return. For a career, he has 20 total special teams returns, which is basically punts and kickoffs. He has 19 in his career. He has the most kick returns in a season with 6, which he did twice.
Hmm.
Uh, but the highlight is his rookie season, which was 3 punt returns, 2 kickoff returns, and that field goal return for touchdowns. He has the fastest touchdown in Super Bowl history, which is 14 seconds into the game, and also the fastest touchdown in Super Bowl history, the very first play of the game. A game changer, a rule changer. He had 11 return touchdowns in his first 2 years, and then there's sort of like a lull because they
Yeah,
stopped kicking.
yeah.
I mean, he's such a weapon, a game changer. Just sort of the highlight that I remember the most, and sort of the highlight that just sort of took him to another level was the return against. Well, the one that I remember the most is the return against Arizona when we were basically losing. That's a Denny Green game. We are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook. Devin Hester
Yeah,
returned.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That's that game. That sort of set them apart. But yeah,
Mhm,
well
mhm.
deserved. I don't know if you have any
Yeah.
thoughts, any other thoughts on
No,
Devin.
not a ton. I mean, I know of his prowess. Obviously, watched all the highlights, all the returns, but obviously wasn't very lucid for most of his Bears career. Um, I always remember he was him and Alshon Jeffrey played for together for a few years, right?
Hmm.
Because I always remember that they were like the big two on the Bears when I was younger, even though he didn't obviously get a ton of receptions. But no, yeah, greatest returnman of all time, no doubt,
Hands down. Hands
no
down.
doubt.
Moving on, Steve Mongo McMichael, a 3-time All Pro, 2-time Pro Bowler, 95 career sacks. He's second in Bears history, only behind his teammate, the Hall of Famer himself, Richard Dent. 13 forced fumbles and 17 fumble recoveries. He's also helped the Bears set a number of helped the Bears set a number of team records, including the fewest yards allowed by a defense in a season, and also most sacks as a team at 72. He had 10 that year. I believe the only record that still stands is the most sacks as a team. So that's pretty incredible. He's currently battling ALS, and
Hmm.
so it's kind of sad to see. But he's still sort of alive and alert, and
Yeah,
knows that he's
he
going to the Hall.
celebrated before
Yeah.
this Hall game, so they were saying
Yes.
when they were did the interviews that he's trying to make it to see the game, and he did. So happy to see that.
Yeah, yeah. So Saturday they're going to be bringing his bust to his house, which I think is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, that is
And
cool.
Jared Payton, Walter Payton's son, is going to basically introduce him or give the speech or
Hmm,
into the hall,
that's
which is
cool.
sort of cool.
Yeah,
Um, the third one, which is sort of he's going in.
surprising. It was surprising to me. It was
He's
surprising to my
he's
brother too, who's a Packers fan. So
he, he's uh he's going in as a Carolina Panther, which he should.
Which I would agree. I would agree with, and that's exactly when I told my brother and my dad. They were like, "What?" And I was like, "That's what I said too." But he is going in as a Panther. But I guess they're still counting him as a Bear, because they've
Yeah,
kept making
so
announcements for it, or like,
well, I think they did that because he played for the Bears. He only played 4 years with the Bears. But I mean, he was part of the team that should have gone to the Super Bowl the one year that Cutler got hurt in the NFC Championship. But that team could have potentially won the Super Bowl that year. But anyways, he was a 3-time All Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler, part of the NFL All Decade team for 2000s and 2010s. He is or has 159 and a half career sacks, which makes him fourth all time. 52 forced fumbles, 11 interceptions, and 2 defensive touchdowns. He holds Panther team records. Now, obviously, he's not going to have any Bears records. He was only with us for 4 years.
yeah,
97 sacks, 34 forced fumbles, and eight blocked field goals. That kind of stood out to me. That's insane. 8 blocked field goals.
yeah, it is when you really think about it.
And the other crazy thing that stood out to me was he was in the NFL for 17 years and missed a total of 6 games. So he played in 266 games out of possible 272.
Wow.
And and in the position that he played, defensive end, outside linebacker, whatever you want to call him, I think he was a 4-3 mainly defensive end. That's incredible.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's such a hard knock, position, and we also got to look back, right? Early 2000s, yes, were drastic game, different game than, like, let's say the physicality of the 70s and the 80s. But let's not discredit the physicality of that position at that time, mixed with how much, not worse, but less advanced recovery and medical techniques were, right? Like, people say, oh, if Jordan had, the medical prowess that LeBron has now, he wouldn't have been, so bad at his years with the Wizards. So definitely very impressive for the era that he played, that he was able to play so many complete seasons for sure.
Hmm.
I mean, he played from 2003 to, yeah, from 2003 to the end of his career, he literally missed 2 games. 2003 through 2006, he played 16. 2007, he played 14. And then from 2008 all the way to 2018, he played all 16 games, which is
Yes,
incredible.
6 total games. 6 total games in 17 years in the
That's,
NFL.
yeah, for the physicality. I mean, yeah, you see players that are, well, I don't know if he missed a game, but, he was complaining about a broken toe. I guarantee you this guy played through many injuries,
Oh,
which is
number of
typical,
injuries.
typical to say the least.
Typical. All right, moving on. We're going to go a little more in depth about the game. Um, I don't know if you want to start us off, Matt.
Oh yeah, I can start us off. So we just wanted to do. Obviously, we got kind of snubbed, if you
Yeah.
will, but we wanted to do like a quarter by quarter breakdown. So the first quarter, Houston went up 7-0. I believe the Bears punted on their first drive. Second quarter, we come out, we scored 2 touchdowns. They are only able to put up a field goal, so 17-14. Houston still. And then in the last quarter, we were able to put up 7. They were able to put up none. So it ended 21-17. Obviously, we were snubbed of a fourth quarter. But as far as scoring goes, the first drive was not what I would love to see. But after that, after the first quarter, at least, we definitely picked it up, moving down the field rather efficiently, if I say so myself.
Yeah, I sort of a note that I took through the through the first sort of quarter was just the fact that the Houston offensive side, especially to start against our second team defense, looked like they had played under the system for years, right?
Mhm.
Like Davis Mills looked like he was a professional backup that had been in the same system for like 10 years. He was picking us apart,
Yeah, he
picking
was
up
moving
those.
really well. I
Yeah.
think it was the the first touchdown of the game, or not the first touchdown, but it was a third and something. And they got whoever our D end was, I can't think of, I don't remember, got really good pressure on him, and he just like sidestepped and just juked the shit out of whoever was pressuring him
Yeah,
and was able to
that was Hardy.
get a great throw downfield for like 35 or 40 yards. Yeah, he was
Which
definitely cooking in that first quarter.
which kind of brings me to a point. I don't know. This is sort of off topic about the scores and scoring and whatnot. Did the field look like I felt like a lot of the players were slipping and
Oh,
sliding?
100%. There was it was the and I'll tell you how I remember it because it was when they did that weird kickoff where whoever's wants to be the is going to be the holder in the year for Cairo Santos came out. Do you remember that? And he held the ball for the kickoff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Corey Taylor.
Specifically on that kickoff I remember because it was just such like a weird thing to me. They kick it and whoever was receiving for Houston at that time gets about 10 yards from catching the ball and just slips. And I think it was Joe Buck made the comment, "Oh, the turf monster got him." The field,
Yeah.
even from the beginning, I remember watching a video the Bears posted on Instagram of like Caleb Williams throwing to Rome, like when they were doing warm-ups. The field looked very like slick. It looked much more shiny than
Mhm.
like other AstroTurf that I've seen. So I don't know if it was like if it had rained there the day before or if it was dewy for some reason. I don't know, but I would agree with you. The field, even before the rain, definitely was taking some ankles, some lives.
Yeah, because I saw specifically on that play where you're saying he Davis Mills sidestep, like Hardy tried to plant and he just gone.
Yeah.
His right foot, he tried to plant that right foot when Davis Mills took the step and he just slid.
So
So
kind
I
of
don't know
off
if
topic again, but are you pro natural grass for all
yes,
fields?
100%. Hundred
I would
percent.
agree with that. I would agree with
And
that.
the reason I say that is because I played football on both natural grass and turf in high school. And after the turf games, my body felt like I ran through a brick wall. Whereas grass, like my legs were okay, but my obviously your upper body from going
Yeah,
shoulder
just getting
pads and helmets and
bashed.
stuff like that, that didn't feel too good. But my legs were fine. Like I feel like the turf is harder on players' legs. I don't know if there's any science behind that, but just as a player in high school, that's sort of what I felt. Like my ankles were on fire the following days after playing on
Yeah.
turf. Now, mind you, when I played, it was like old school, not this nice
Yeah,
sort of
AstroTurf, whatever they got
cushiony.
going on. I don't know.
Uh,
My only thought behind that is obviously I don't know any of the science. My guess would be obviously I played on turf and I've played on normal grass, whether it be for baseball or whatnot. That I feel like the turf is more cushiony, but it definitely gives you it forces you. It's more bouncy, but in the same way, it gives you less natural cushioning, right? Like when you push on the earth when it's grass, that earth doesn't try to bounce right back. You know what I
mhm.
mean? And I think sometimes when you're planting on the turf, your like body weight gets like worsely distributed. If I'm kind of going digressing here, but you know what I mean. I feel like
Mhm.
when you plant, it almost bounces back too much, and then your body weight is kind of going all on that instead of dispersing throughout the ground how it should.
And for those Chicagoans, the turf I'm talking about is Hanson Field, which was the old turf in Soldier Field at one point. That
Mm.
stuff was horrible. Hanson Stadium, the worst
Well,
worst
you remember
turf
when they put
this
new turf
place.
in Soldier Field last year and it was all flooded? That was last year, right?
They put grass at least.
Yeah. No, but something kind of controversial though with that grass is like right, some of these climates that are not as well acclimated to grow the grass at this time, like we're looking at like a New York or a Minnesota, right? Do you remember Super Bowl? What was it? It wasn't the last one. It was 2 years ago. No, no,
Odell Beckham.
no. It wasn't Odell Beckham. It was when it was. When did they have it in Arizona? Was that last year? Or was that 2 years ago? I don't know. Whatever they had in Arizona, it was the Eagles and the Chiefs. Um, and I remember them specifically saying that because they had grown that grass for like a whole year to make it perfect, but they had done it in that stuff where they like completely pull the grass out of the stadium, and like house it in a different spot. You know what I'm talking about? That
Yeah.
you oh that they said that the grass was like really shitty. Like it was slippery, and the sod would like rip out of the ground, and it was just not bad, or it was just bad. Like it was not good grass at all, and that would be my only negative to something like that is you have to not artificially, but grow this grass in an environment that it's not normally grown in places where it's not conducted to go grass like that at that time. I think that
Mhm.
could also be an issue to where it's like, well, less injuries, but then it's shittier, grass that you're playing on. That's the only thing I've ever heard is that the
Yeah, that's kind
Eagles
of surprising
specifically were complaining.
because I know Arizona, they have the retractable field, so it goes outside of the stadium and they water it,
Well, that's
and
what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's
bring
when
the
they did
green
it in
back in.
Arizona. That well, obviously the Eagles lost, but the Eagles specifically, the players, and they pulled up clips and everything about like how the sod would just rip out of the ground. They were sliding everywhere, and that it almost felt like a weird mix between grass and turf, where like it was still slippery, but it didn't feel like real grass.
Yeah.
So obviously the Eagles lost, so maybe that's why they were complaining. But I definitely remember hearing that. So that might be the only issue. If you're in a place where it's harder to grow grass and you have to do something like that, might hurt the trueness of the grass on the field, the
Yeah.
continuity between all the fields.
Yeah. Sorry for the bit of the digression,
The
but
insane
we'll move
digression
on.
about
That's
AstroTurf.
that's all right. I mean, that's why we have a podcast, right?
Sure,
We
so
want
we
to
can
talk
yap.
about
So we can yap a
stuff.
little bit. So we can
There you
yap a
go.
little bit.
A little bit of yapping. Um, I don't really want to go over stats very much. I mean,
I
we
mean,
did
yeah,
into
neither
the
do
full
I
game.
can do a quick rundown, real quick for you for the Bears.
Yeah.
Ripping 11 for 15, 186 yards, 3 touchdowns, 148 passer rating. Bajit 2 for 3, 16 yards, whatever. We already talked about Reed 2 for 2. Khalil Herbert four carries, 35 yards, 8 average. Roshan Johnson 6 carries, 24 yards, 4 average. Felton 3 carries, 14 yards. Then Rippin and Scott both got carries. For receiving for us, Colin Johnson, like we said, 3 receptions on 6 targets, 2 touchdowns, 56 yards. Tommy Sweeney, 3 receptions on 3 targets, 47 yards. And then Brendan Bates, 2 receptions on 2 targets for 47 yards. There was more receptions, but they're all, 1 for 1, 5 yards. So not really
Hmm.
worth going over. We got 1 sack on the day, and it was by Brian Cowart. Um, so yeah, honestly, not a lot to go over in the stats department. Like we said, backups, so not really that key to see how well they played, and also we're missing a whole quarter, so it's not
Yeah.
really worth
Yeah.
our
I would say, yeah. I mean, stats wise, the numbers don't really
mean
they don't
anything at this
really
point.
really matter in preseason, right?
Yeah,
It's just sort of whether or not you can win your individual battle for that day.
one hundred
Um,
percent.
we might as well go over this. What do you think the best play of the game is? And
My
obviously,
opinion, going back to what you said earlier about Colin Johnson, after he misses that dot right to his chest, he turns around and makes a great play to score a touchdown. I thought his first touchdown was probably the best play of the game offensively for me. Defensively, I know we have one offense, one defense. I didn't really think anything super crazy stood out on defense that I could say best play. I would say there was a lot of good plays where especially our like secondary was making a lot of like forced drops that I actually was really impressed by that I thought was pretty good. But on defense, nothing special. I don't know what you saw, but
yeah. Offense, for me, the best play of the game was once again Colin Johnson, but that's when he jumps up, makes the high points to catch and brings it down. The first time when they actually counted it as a catch,
yeah.
incredible catch. Like you don't see that. I mean, you see,
Was that the one where he was
yes,
on the sideline?
yeah, on the
Yeah, I know what you're
sidelines,
talking about. I know what you're talking about. That it was ruled.
back
They went to
shoulders
review
around.
about it. They went to review about it.
That was the second one.
Oh,
He
that
did
was
the
the
same
second one. You're
thing
talking about the
early.
first one.
Yeah,
Okay, got you, got you.
yeah, the same thing, same exact throw.
Yeah, yeah.
Except the first one he comes down with the ball, makes the catch. But that's something you want to see, especially for a young player to have a drop earlier in the game when you're
To then
fighting for your
come back.
livelihood,
Yeah,
to bounce back and mentally, you know, get rid of that play and just
refortify.
just be ready for the next one. Yeah. Defensive side of the ball, I mean, I really didn't. Nothing really stood out to me. We did see Booker play a bunch, which I was excited to see, but he was awfully quiet. I mean, he's still learning the game. He's a rookie.
Yeah.
Rookie fifth rounder. Like, I'm not expecting him to go in there and be the next Julius Peppers and have a
Yeah,
12 sack
100%. 100% to
season.
get
Um,
one
but yeah,
solo tackle.
yeah. Uh, One play that stood out to me on defense, and we would like to see happen was there was a Davis Mills drop back. It was like a 5 yard out, airmails it, and our DB goes
Oh,
right through his damn
yeah,
hands.
I saw that. I even specifically remember I was like, "Damn, we could have had that." And even the
Yep,
play by plays were like risky throw, and it was
risky throw.
honestly it was a pretty shitty throw to be honest with you. But
Was,
I thought it
was
was impressive that he was even able to get to the ball. I don't actually remember who that was. Do you remember who that was?
37. I don't know the name.
Yeah,
Catch the
I don't have
ball.
that on here. Yeah,
You're fighting for your job. Catch the
Still
ball.
hype about blocking though. It was a good stop at least.
Yep.
Okay, then just any kind of we gonna go over a little hindsight thoughts on the game. What do you think we specifically did well that led us to victory?
Um, I'll say defensively, aside from the very first couple of drives, we were able to stop them on third down and put them in third and long situations. And part of that is stopping the run, right?
Yeah, one hundred
I know
percent.
we stopped a few of them for a loss, but we got off the field and put the ball in Rippon's hands, and the rest is history. I mean, he ripped it. Rippon was ripping today.
Oh,
Uh,
100%. I mean, we did stop that run game pretty well, though. I mean, 16 yards, 14 yards, 13 yards from their
mhm.
three main RBs today. So not bad at all, considering Khalil Herbert basically had more yards than all three of them combined. So
The one plus I will say from the Texans though, and shout out to Cam Akers, is battling
yeah,
back from
the
two
Achilles injury.
Achilles tears, one in
Yeah,
each, or maybe it was the same leg.
I
Either
think it
way,
was the same leg.
Two Achilles tears to come back and bounce back
I'm not gonna
and
lie
actually
though,
score a touchdown.
when I saw the little graphic up there, I just completely must have blacked out this offseason because last thing I remember, he was on the Vikings. Obviously, it was the end of his contract with LA, and he was like, "I get me out of here. I don't like it here anymore." I did not know that they didn't pick him up again. I probably heard about it at some point, but I definitely didn't follow up on that. So that was interesting to see that when
Mhm.
I saw him out there.
But good for him
Yeah,
to battle back and
100%.
score a touchdown against our Bears. But yeah.
No, yeah, and to kind of echo that on the offensive side, kind of what you said, I thought, we'll get to play calling in the next kind of overall thing, but I thought a good mix between, the run game, so a lot of
Hmm.
play action. You saw a lot of times, especially in like the second quarter, towards the middle of the second quarter, we called a lot of play actions that just opened up the middle of the field completely. And we're talking about, someone like Rippon who, you know, if we put Caleb Williams in that spot and we can get that kind of the separation in the middle of the field, man, that's a free 8-10 yard run for him every time. So I thought, our mixing up the play calls was really good today. A lot of really good play actions, a lot of good run calls when we needed it. So I was happy to see some good offensive play calling for once.
Yeah, yeah, like you said, for once, like when Getzey would call plays, to me, it felt like there was no flow. Like today, there was a flow to the offense.
Exactly. It was
Like,
a
it
run, then
was
maybe
a
a
good
slant
mix.
or yeah.
Yeah, it was a good mix. A lot of good throws, a lot of great catches by our receivers and our tight ends. Tight ends showed out today, huh?
Mhm.
Just besides Colin Johnson, the tight ends made plays
Tight ends did play well.
today. Um, I did see a screen. When I saw
Bound
the
to happen.
screen,
Bound to
that
happen.
was in the opening drive, I think, too.
I don't
It
know. That
was
was the only drive we got
screen
like
pass.
straight up snuffed on though. So
Yeah, that was Tyson Bagent called not Bagent called the screen, but Waldron called it. But I saw a screen and I was like
here we go again.
uh, suffering from a little PTSD.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Kind of moving on though to what we already literally just covered. How do we think the coaching was? Both sides of the ball. Good play calls, bad play calls.
I thought overall they were good play calls today. The defense found a way to adjust and basically did their job, did what they're supposed to do, got off the field on third downs. Uh, Waldron had a flow to his game, and Brett Rippon just executed right. I thought it
100%,
was
I would agree.
uh, thought coaching was well done, and surprisingly, last year we didn't get to say that a lot. That the
Yeah,
offensive side,
100%. Yeah.
especially on the offensive side, was good play calling, and they look good though.
Yeah, they did look good. I thought, the especially on offense, obviously on defense, like you said, it's more of an adjustment than it is like a okay, let's go beat these guys in this play. I
Mm,
thought on offense it was a lot of good, mixing up looks across the field, right? We're not just going all to one side looking for receivers coming across. We're doing out routes. We're looking up the sideline on both sides. Um, like I said a minute ago, I just thought it was a good mix of like reading what they had, um, calling runs when they need to be called. Sometimes, um, just kind of making the calls that need to be called in that scenario. So definitely good to see some good offensive play calling for once, for sure.
yeah, yeah. All right, moving on. Looking forward next week. We have the Buffalo Bills.
August 10th. And this is I was gonna write it down in here, but then I scrapped it, but I'm coming back to it now because I was just thinking about it. Do you think we see Caleb for at least one
Yes,
series next week?
100%.
You agree? I
100%.
would agree. I hope we see, at least one what's his face didn't even suit up today.
Rome.
No, not Rome. Dude from the Chargers. Keenan Allen. He didn't
Oh
suit up,
yeah.
but Caleb did.
Neither did Rome.
Caleb did. I saw that. I didn't know about, but I know Allen didn't. But I'm hoping we see
Caleb was suited up. I thought I saw him in a gray T-shirt.
maybe he took it off after the game started, but they specifically made a point at the beginning of the game that he was in full because
Oh,
they were like, "Oh, Caleb Williams for the first time in pads and game jersey. He was completely suited up." Um,
maybe they're
Obviously,
trying
he
to get
must have
him.
took it off. I think maybe he did it for PR or whatever. But I'm intrigued. I hope to see at least I don't know how much they're gonna let him throw or how much pressure they're gonna let him get under center. But I hope we see at least one connection between him and one of these wide receivers he's got next week.
Yeah, so Flus had mentioned that they want. I think it's the number is between 35 and 50 reps of preseason action. So you would sort of. There's only 3 games left. I mean,
I guess you could
us
expect to see him first
for a
quarter,
few
probably
first couple series,
2
maybe
series every game for
depending
the
on
rest
how
of the
long
games.
they go. Like if he goes on like a 9 play, 10 play drive to start a game or his first drive,
Yeah.
then I would expect them to sit him right after that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
100%. And
they're,
like they were saying about the cadence and everything, those reps are going to be really important,
hmm
just
hmm
going into the season for
hmm
sure for us.
yeah,
You
Bills.
got any other thoughts about this upcoming week? What we need to do? Obviously, we will have a pre-game 2 episode that we will go deeper
hmm
in. But I mean, anything you think that we should key in on before this week of training camp? You think that we need to work on a little bit?
I would say special teams needs to work on
I mean,
special
one play
teams.
we're talking about here, but I agree. Obviously, not something that can happen that often.
Special teams needs to lock in not just a muff punt, but we saw penalties on both sides by the Texans and the Bears. Those guys jumping early off the line. They can't move until the
Until the
ball's
ball
caught.
has been caught, right?
So
Or
you
until
so
it
you've
hits the
seen some
ground.
players sort of react as soon as the Texans kicker kicked it off. Number
The bear,
60, I don't know
yeah.
who that was. He started to take off and then he froze. But at that
Yeah.
point, it's already too late.
It's already a flag.
And then one of the Texans left early on another kickoff return. So I don't know. The kickoffs just look weird. But also the defense, I want them to come out next week. Like Flu said in the post game interview that he liked the energy. I thought they were kind of flat to open up the game. Like to me, the DBs gave a huge cushion to the wide receivers today, and I want to see them press. I want to see them in a lot more man, um, just so that they can go out and battle and win their one on ones. Like throw that guy on an
100%. Yeah.
island. Let's see what he can do. Let's see when the pressure's on him when he's got a guard. Uh, who I don't know who the wide receivers are in the Bills anymore now that Diggs is gone.
Yeah, Diggs is gone. I don't
Um,
know. I know they used to have the dude that was that was then on the Cowboys. I can't think of his name. Redhead, shorter dude.
Cole Beasley.
Yeah, he's long gone. But
Oh yeah.
speaking of Bills
Well,
wide receivers, while we're here,
but yeah, I just want him to. I want Eberflus to throw our DBs in man a lot more often, uh, just to see what they can do, just to win their one on ones. Does he do it? Probably not, but I don't know. That's something I would sort of want. I want him to. To me, they came out and they looked flat, so I'd like to maybe see him bring a little bit more energy to start the game.
yeah, I can see that. I remember, like what you're saying, that first quarter was kind of lackluster for us, and the energy was definitely there later in the game. You could see him getting hype after stops, but yeah, but I agree. I think not something to work on this week, but something I hope we keep up is just the offensive intensity. I felt like we were, especially after that first drive, the first series, we were pushing pace a lot on the field, which I think is something, especially with what is hopefully an elite offense that we're going to have this upcoming season, something that we definitely stick to, because the more pressure you can put on their defense, the more pressure you put on their defense, the even more pressure you put on their offense, right? You go out,
Yes.
have a really good series. Their defense is demoralized, and now their offense has to come out and play a top 5 defense to come get back what their defense just sold. So that's what I'm
Yes.
hoping that we can definitely keep up in the next week. But yeah, we shall see. We'll talk more in the next episode, though, for sure.
Yeah. I think that about
I think that
wraps
about
it
wraps
up.
us up, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 3.
Episode 3, the Den.
The Den will catch
Bears
you in the
victory.
next one. Bears victory. Asterisk. All right, we'll
We'll
catch you
catch you
later.
guys in the next one.